Thank you for joining us for an informative panel discussion today. My name is Reena and I'm representing the India Education Forum. Just to give you a little detail of what India Education Forum is all about. It is an advocacy organization concerned with the challenges and possibilities in India's higher education sector. The forum's main goal is to contribute to the development of future institutions in India that would provide world-class education. So today's topic is rise of the employed learners, role of universities in India. And we have some really renowned names in the industry who have joined us for this panel discussion. So we have Professor Gauri Dutt Sharma, Vice Chancellor, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. Dr. Manoj Manuja, Pro Vice Chancellor, Chitkara University. So welcome both of you. Okay,
thank you,
Shantanu. We have our moderator for today's panel discussion is Shantanu Rooj from Team Lease EdTech, CEO and founder. So over to you, Shantanu.
So the context of this discussion was that the world of work, the world of organizations is going through many disruptive changes, accelerated by the pandemic and moved by various technologies today. We have seen that the world of work and world of organizations is going through a massive disruption. One of our researchers says that the life expectancy of a Fortune 500 company has come down from 65 years in 1935 to about 15 years today. If you look at the Fortune 500 list of companies, most of the companies did not exist about a decade back. So that's the change that we are started seeing, that the world of work is going through a massive disruption at this point in time. This pandemic has actually accelerated some of these changes. And we have started realizing that the changes that we are witnessing are not only technology changes this time, but these are largely business shifts which are happening. As these businesses start shifting up, organizations have started realizing that the only way to maintain some sort of a competitive advantage for themselves is to ensure that the current teams and the teams that they are hiring now is well trained and they're upskilled and reskilled to handle this type of a change which is coming up and make their organizations more resilient. Lifelong learning is becoming a reality today. And most organizations are willing to invest in the training of their new hires and their current employees. Traditionally, this segment of learners, which is largely were addressed by edtech companies and private service providers. But we believe that in times to come, universities will have a big role to play to address this segment of employed learners. My first question to you is, Professor Sharma, to you. What is your opinion on this particular matter? Do you see a phenomenon like this coming up in the market today, the emergence of an employed learner? Because universities traditionally has only serviced the traditional learner. Students who completed class 12th, I'm not too sure if we lost Dr. Sharma, because I can't see him here.
I'll check that.
Okay, maybe he pressed a wrong button and it got disconnected. So in the meantime, Dr. Manoj, maybe you could answer that question to me, that traditionally we have seen that the private service providers and edtech companies has actually addressed this particular segment of an employed learner, people coming for reskilling or upskilling. We believe in times to come, universities will have a big role to play. Do you think universities are cognizant of this opportunity? Are they waking up to this reality?
Thanks, Shantanu. Good evening to one and all present. I feel really privileged to share the dais with such an esteemed panelist. I sincerely thank Mr. Shantanu Rooj, founder and CEO of Team Lease EdTech, for inviting me to such a distinguished panel discussion today. I was very impressed and thrilled to know the topic of discussion today. Let me put it very straight, because this is one topic which is very close to my heart. When we talk about employed learners, with a foreground to discuss the role of universities in India. Before I start sharing my thoughts, I would like to share my quick background. I have worked in the industry for a very substantial period of my professional career with companies like GE and Infosys. and have been experiencing the university ecosystem for the last few years. I have closely seen both sides of the table when it comes to university ecosystem and the professional world. So I'm very happy and excited to talk on this topic. Thanks, Shantanu, for inviting me. The topic of today's discussion has two major keywords when we talk about today's topic. First one is employed learners, and second one is Indian universities. So if we talk about the orthodox Indian university ecosystem, the higher education institutions are largely conceived of as a formal learning environment that support and result in scholarly research and academic credentials. Like example, student enter a program and upon graduation, they depart the campus and their affiliation with the university remains lifetime and they join some industry. That's what the topic of discussion is. There's a defined curriculum, defined evaluation and assessment process, grading system is in place, which helps higher education institution to certify that yes, students have gained a specific qualification with such and such CGPA and etc. They hardly talk about the skills acquired on ground, although each and every curriculum has predefined course objectives, program outcomes, COPO mapping, and all that. Now, let us talk about the industry ecosystem. Although qualification of the student is the first gating criteria, but majorly, industry evaluate the student on his or her skills. So that is where the gap is. Universities are qualification granting authorities, whereas industry is requiring skills. That is where industry feels the pain of retraining the graduate professionals on various skills they require at work. That is what we see the most of the companies put their graduate trainees to 3 to 6 to 12 months of training. Also, if you talk about all organizations, almost all companies spend a substantial amount of time and money in upskilling and reskilling their existing employees also, so that they remain business relevant. So I talked about two things. One is orthodox university system. One is what industry requires. So this was the background I wanted to set before I start sharing my thoughts on today's topic. The last 2 years have taught us lessons of lifetime. Everybody will acknowledge this. COVID-19 lockdown has ensured that our universities are digitally transformed very quickly and offer its students a learning environment which is primarily virtual in nature. Before 2020 lockdown, most of the universities were not for virtual environment, not for virtual teaching altogether. But post March 2020, everybody hooked to virtual environment. Everybody was talking about digital transformation in their respective universities. That was a major learning for this ecosystem. Similarly, if I talk about industry, companies have implemented work from home culture almost in total for their employees, and only in essential services are on campus. Although this was in existence before March 2020 also, but yes, after March 2020, it became a norm altogether, work from home. And companies are really using the efficiency of the employees to their advantage. As I mentioned a couple of moments back, that companies upskill and reskill their employees way before COVID also, but of their own. Now, let me try to connect the dots of my discussion. Okay, thank you. So now let me try to connect the dots of my discussion. Businesses are shrinking post-COVID, profits are going down day by day, and above all, technologies are changing at a very fast pace. Automation and artificial intelligence, as we all understand and know, have stormed the global businesses in a big way. Side by side, the cone side of the whole scenario is millions of jobs, human jobs across the globe have been lost to machines. Mind it. Mind this line. This is very, very important for this particular discussion, because AI, ML, automation, digital transformation are forcing companies to optimize their operations and human resources also. Very, very critical to understand. So I foresee a very great, big, huge opportunity for the Indian university ecosystem to extend a strong helping hand to industry during these testing times. In fact, not only industry, but employed learners also. I'm keeping these two blocks as separate entities. Because when you talk about employed learners in today's time are clueless about the option they should explore when it comes to remaining relevant to the industry. Because relevance is very, very critical to understand. They're not sure what they should do to reskill or upskill themselves. And why? These two questions, they are not sure about this. They very well understand the criticality of reskilling. Yes, they understand, they talk, they discuss, they explore as far as their professional progression is concerned in a given organization. But there are so many informal and unstructured learning options available in the gray market, which many a time are very costly and not so fruitful. So it is high time when Indian universities open up their gates for the lifelong learners. That's what Shantanu also talked about in his opening address, lifelong learners. These lifelong learners may be their own alumni, maybe people working in the industry, or professionals just to keep abreast with today's technology world. Now, important thing, NEP, National Education Policy 2020, has come as a boon for such employed learners, and as well as the university ecosystems. As we all are aware that it offers a 4-tier learning framework. 4-tier. First year of learning, you get a certificate. 2 years of learning, you get a diploma. 3 years of learning will give you a bachelor's degree. 4th year, honors degree. Pretty good. All these tiers are independent, mind it. They are independent. And you as learner need not spend all 4 years in one go. Actually speaking, this is what employed learner wants. So many educationists are apprehensive about the various challenges while implementing NEP 2020 in full letter and spirit. But I would suggest that Indian universities should try out implementation of NEP 2020 for employed learners in first go, because they are the people who require it the most. And most COVID scenarios encourage them to do it very quickly. But point of caution, which otherwise may lead to a big failure of the whole initiative. As of now, most of the universities follow a teaching learning pedagogy of what and how. That's mean faculty teach the concept by touching upon what part of the learning, followed by how part of the learning through lab assignments.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is a very typical teaching learning pedagogy being followed on ground. I'm saying this with utmost confidence because I have seen it happening over a long period of time during my tenure with Infosys.
Can I interrupt you a bit here, sir? I mean, yeah. You touched upon in the first part, as you were telling us, you talked about the product, about that the requirement of an employed learner is very different from the requirement of a traditional learner. I would like to hold the discussion at this point here and come back to your second point, which you are now mentioning about pedagogy. Can I ask Professor Sharma at this stage that, Sharma, sir, can you hear me? You're on mute.
Yes. Now, because there was some interruption due to the internet problem, but it has been now rectified.
Professor Sharma, Dr. Manoj just now alluded to the fact that an employed learner's requirements are very different from a traditional learner's requirement. Whereas a traditional learner who completes his class 12th and then comes to university is willing to take a 3 years, one monolithic program, An employed learner who has already worked in a company for about, say, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, coming back for some sort of a skill upgrade or in terms of adding additional credential to his CV, is looking at a program which is more modular in nature. He can come here, do a 6 months program, go back, and come back later on to do a 1 year program, maybe. So he's looking at a program which is more stackable in terms of its credentialing. Do you think that Indian universities are ready for a situation like that? Are they waking up to this new reality?
Yeah, you are right, because at present our pedagogy is mostly knowledge intensive, not on the application oriented. So that is one of the gap, because the corporate where now maximum employment is coming, because earlier our employment was mostly in traditional form and particularly in government sector, where this skill was not much the requirement. So it was only the degree requirement. Even we have seen now in any IAS or IPS or any such examination, skill is not the requirement so far also. So our emphasis goes at present only on the knowledge driven extensively and not the application kind of the things. And application type of job which we feel and which is psychologically gives what it came also from ministry and all these things, it was a low level of skill, not the innovative or research based skill. Say for example, fitter's job. Now you just imagine how a graduate will go to a fitter's job. So these were the course curriculum, this kind of the things which should have come at the lower level. So that instead of going for graduation, post-graduation of this type of skill, then that is why the students do not prefer for a skill job at present. So now in NEP, the skilling is going down for this basic skill. And in graduate and postgraduate level, it is innovative coming, the upskilling what you are talking. In fact, that also needs a modular. If we are talking about the employed skilling, that needs to be a modular kind of thing, because what the employer do, they do not have such a long type of the modules for upskilling the skill. These are very focused modules which needs to be very less in credit or time capsule, which needs, because if we give more time, by the time the skill is applied, the nature of job is changed. As you rightly said in beginning, that the nature of job is changing so fast, and we do not know how fast it will change in future. We are unable to tell the nature of job of future because it is changing. And you rightly said the pandemic has been very, very, in a way, good in bringing the speed up, particularly bringing technology learning in our education system, in Indian education system. Otherwise, we were going at least 10 years behind in applying the technology in our education system. It was, you can say, the only because of the corona, we have learned now all our colleges, universities, maybe a different degree of learning of and applying of technology. But we can say that almost all teachers, students, they are aware how to use technology. This has brought the world together, and also world best now courses available, maybe free, because many of these world courses like the Commonwealth and all, they made it free during Corona. you know that anything when it has to be made popular, so our concept is free. First give free, like the Geo came free, if you remember, for nearly 1 year. Then they started charging something. Now it is increasing. And after few months, when we start using this technology, the G5 and all these things, then it will be much more.
So
And
I'm aware of a university in the US. It's
so
called the
the
University of the
university will
People.
be, so similarly, the university will be more successful. The university which can also bring so fast change. If university is not able to bring change in its delivery system, developing the content, dissemination, then it will be lagging behind. But at the same time, this is one part, the employment is one part. But equally important is the innovation, the research carried out. If we simply disseminate the knowledge and create the low job, which are not able to create business, then what will happen? We will be just remaining servant, not the master. So what is also equally important, to create such kind of the innovation also, which brings more new idea generation and which can bring more patent and IPR and create new kind of the business, which are mostly, you can say, the more intensive on application aspects, which create the totally new kind of the job. That will also be good. And I think for employed people, we need modular kind of the now new kind of the these modules are required.
Correct.
And those online courses which are given by the IGNU and other open university, that will not work now, because those are also traditional courses. Somebody's MBA wants to do PhD just to get the degree, not for applying this. This is one part. But if they want to create new business within the business, they need modular.
Completely
And I
agree
think,
with you. Completely
yeah.
agree
And,
with you.
yes.
So university will have to start differentiating between these courses, which are purely from a knowledge perspective, and the need of the employed learner, which is possibly adding an additional skill set on them most of the times.
Yes, yes.
And universities
Yes,
have to
yes.
ensure that the courses are created accordingly in this particular space. Thank you so much for that, sir. And this is
Yes.
really valuable. Professor Veerbhadrappa, sir, are you being able to hear us? We can't see you. Sir, can you unmute yourself? Maybe you can switch on your camera in case you can hear me. Professor Veerbhadrappa. Okay. Let sir come on line in case he can hear me later on. Coming back to you, Dr. Manoj. And so, okay, Dr. Veerbhadrappa is there. Looks like his. Sir, can you hear us? We can't hear you, sir.
I'm in a meeting.
Oh, okay. Dr. Manoj, I have this question to you before we come to pedagogy. The set of employed learners that we're talking about are people who are currently working in the industry. They are exposed to many different platforms and very different type of a consumer experience that they have been experiencing many different platforms today, be it Amazon, be it Airbnb, be it Zomato, be it Swiggy. They're used to a different type of a consumer experience in this particular case, and they expect the similar type of experience from their university programs. Do you think universities are getting ready for a customer experience or a consumer experience or a learner experience, which is much different from the learner experience that they provide today to their distance learners?
To answer your question in the first instance, Shantanu, answer is no. Universities are not ready because they are still in a very orthodox state of mind when they are just taking students on board, giving them a defined curriculum altogether, and assessing them on very predefined parameters and giving them degrees. Now let me go to the industry to answer this particular question. What industry requires altogether? What learned employed learners require? You take example of any IT project, team is there. All of a sudden, client will ask for a different requirement altogether. And you need to cater to that particular requirement. You need to enable your team as quickly as possible, because that is a dynamic requirement. That's what Dr. Sharma talked about, modular approach to employed learners, very rightly pointed out by him. Because when you talk about employed learners and you give them modular learning, although NEP talked about 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you talk about, let us say, 15 days module, 1 month module, and something like that, based upon their very specific requirement of relevance as far as their project is concerned, as far as their job is concerned, as far as their client is concerned. Because industry means business, it means dollars only. And if they are earning dollars, they are very happy. They are tagged to be relevant altogether. So in that particular scenario, universities need to talk about two important things. They need to realign two important things. One is, before talking about what and how, they should talk about why and where in their courses. So when they align their programs, they align their modules according to why and where, touching upon why and why this particular technology, and where you are going to apply it. So that is where Dr. Sharma also talked about application based. So that is one gap I foresee at this moment of time, and universities need to pull their socks very quickly to handle this huge customer base altogether. Because whatsoever customer base they are handling at this moment of time, that is maybe 2 to 5% only. So my take is, we need to do so many things in this regard, Shantanu.
Thank you so much. And that's really very valuable what you said. Dr. Veerbhadrappa sir, are you ready to take a question? I had a question for you. Sir's camera again went off. Professor Veerbhadrappa sir, are you available? Rina, maybe you can check with sir whether he's available at this point in time.
Yes, I have.
So Professor Sharma, I had a question for you now here. That and this is something I think Dr. Manoj alluded to during his first phase when he was talking about. Okay, Professor Veerbhadrappa sir, are you available for a question now? Veerbhadrappa sir, are you in a meeting?
I'm in a meeting.
Okay. Professor Sharma, I wanted to understand from you that the employed learners are looking at a very different type of pedagogy. Traditionally, universities are used to a system where there is only one sort of pedagogy where there's one teacher and many students, and teachers are used to passing on acquired knowledge to students. The employed learners are looking for a system where there is multiple types of teaching. There's problem solving, there are case studies, there are simulations, there are team learning, there are peer learning, there are game-based learning. So they're looking at a very different type of pedagogy. Do you think universities in India are getting ready for a change coming up very soon?
You see, at present, we are not having the system of multiple disciplinary learning. What we need now, that our tight compartmental learning has to go away. Say, if somebody is learning physics, now only physics will not do. So when we need multiple learning, multiple disciplinary learning, we need multiple input from different sides. Multiple, maybe from technology, maybe online learning, maybe from other institutes learning, maybe from industry learning. So these components are not at the moment part of our system. So if you see the present system, we may have different departments within the university, but still we are very hardly, you can say, using those resources in our learning system. we are mostly having our resources, well qualified professors in a particular branch, not any other branch. So the need of the corporate or the need of the market today is to have the different components where you learn the expertise from different sources. So these sources may be online sources. These sources, because it becomes easy to have approach if it is online, because physical movement is avoided, then other transportation cost or any other cost, as well as changing our cultural, because in India particularly, culture is equally important. When we move physically to other place, then we may not like the place, the climate and all these things. So I feel that at the moment we are not yet fully ready, but from NEP 2020, from July, since I am one of the member in how to implement the NEP 2020, we are already working on it, and we have prepared some guidelines also, multiple entry exit, and we are now inviting all the people from the northeast and eastern region. So this is required. That is how the question of now, as you rightly said, multiple now platforms are also available, but we have to be now selective that which platform is having quality education, not anyone. Now UGC recently has allowed the private players also we can select, because earlier it was only the SWAM portal where it was those. So those portal were having limitations, means not exactly giving so much application oriented. But since there are already so many platforms are available, it is now for us to make these platforms as integral part of our learning system. Give opportunity to the students to select, and as per their aim in life, they can choose. So our limitations which are there existing at present can be now widened, that no limit for learning. And also this is for the youths who are going to make their career, but those youths who are already in job, but now they want to change their job. For them also there is opportunity now in NEP 2020, because say for example, if somebody is technologist, engineer, but not satisfied, he can become the bioengineering. Now, if he takes the courses on the basics of applications of biology, so he can apply his engineering knowledge. In this way, what will happen? The new areas which are emerging abroad can also emerge in India. But so far, there is no scope. So this kind of the pedagogy and also liberation, the liberal education, what we say, will also help to lifelong learning and give more satisfaction, more, you see, the pride. Nobody will feel that I have taken this particular art subject. Yes, say for example, Professor Manoj rightly said, if it is a language, say English. If the students want to take some basics of physics, then he can bring something, the concept, music. He can bring the change in that musical system. If he learns some basic course of physics, he or she need not to go into the deep knowledge of that, but applied part of the modules can be integrated in the learning system. This is allowed now. Earlier, it was not allowed. The problem was, if somebody was taking 2 degrees, he was not given job. The question was how you have done 2 degrees simultaneously. Now UGC is telling you can do 2 degrees, you can do diploma plus learning, you can do learning at any time. This concept is coming now to our Indian system of education.
Absolutely.
So this will
going to be
helpful,
transformation.
and this has become necessary also. Why it has become necessary? because we have the maximum youths in the world which will be getting international job until unless we prepare global citizen in learning, then how they will adapt, how they will be made ready to do the such kind of their contribution. Otherwise, in India itself, so many jobs will not be available. So they have to be part, and by 2025, out of 5, 1 has to be Indian. So to prepare their future, I think that is necessary that we have the approach and we create the resources to have the multidisciplinary, job-oriented or employability-oriented, the job creating modular form of the education.
Perfect.
So
I think what you're saying is make absolute sense that NEP is going to bring some of these changes. But my question is, I'm still a bit confused. Will Dr. Veerbhadrappa sir, are you free now? I think he's still in the meeting. I'll come back to you, Dr. Manoj. So Dr. Sharma talked about the various new functionalities, new opportunities, new imaginations, and new opportunities which NEP brings on the table now. But as we all know, a university or institution is as good as its teachers. Now, do you think that universities are actually investing in retraining their teachers to handle this new demand of the employed learner? Do you think we are investing in their training of their digital skills, technology skills? I mean, I'm aware of universities in the United States where they send their teachers to work with the industry for a couple of weeks' time and come back and bring those case studies here to teach their kids. In India, I haven't heard of many universities who do that. But do you think that universities are waking up to the fact that the teachers will also need some sort of a training?
Shantu, answer is big yes. Yes, universities have started working on this aspect also. Let me give you a current use case from Chitkara. If I take an example of our CSE faculty members, those faculty members are working with industry on small projects. For example, there's one company by the name ClearTrip. ClearTrip, during the COVID time, they were about to launch one application which was giving COVID guidance to their travel customers. In that particular scenario, Chitkara and ClearTrip collaborated together. There were 15 students, 5 teachers working on a live project. So answer to your question is yes, we are aligning, and we are aligning in a big way. So this is point number 1. Point number 2 is when you talk about enabling our faculty members. So we have a mandate that if we do have 100 faculty members in CSE, they all should be industry certified. Let us say they take some certification from AWS or Microsoft or Google or VMware or something like that. So that is how yes, we are planning it out that yes, our faculty is in line with industry relevance, so that when they are standing in the class, they deliver what industry requires. So that was what one question in the chat box also. To answer that particular thing, answer is yes, universities are aligning in a big way. Like you take the example of team leads. They are supporting, collaborating with different universities to make it happen as far as their classroom teaching is concerned. Current relevant content altogether. So yes, we are aligning, but it requires more focus, more effort, and industry need to be partnered with that particular change.
It's so heartening to see this, sir. And the examples that you said really brings a hope into all of us. The universities are really waking up to this new reality. We are seeing an increased partnership between industry and universities. This is great for the future of higher education in the country. That brings me to another question that comes up to my mind. And I'm not too sure if Professor Veerbhadrappa sir has got free now. Sir, are you free now? I'm not too sure whether he's hearing me. But okay, so I'll go back to Professor Sharma in this particular case and ask him this question. So when you talk about the employed learner, we're talking about people who are currently employed in various companies in the country, and they're coming back for some sort of a reskilling. Now, when universities will look at this market. Professor Sharma, this question is to you, that they will have to compete with a lot of private service providers and edtech companies, because they are the people who are currently using this particular market. They're currently servicing this market. Universities will be new entrant, but obviously each comes with their own strength. What do you think will stand to a university's advantage? How will they actually win this particular competition?
You see, universities will have advantage that they can attract more students who will be assured that according to their choice, education is available in this particular university, as well as their career can be made better compared to those institutes who are not able to provide so many courses in a basket, where choice is limitation. Now, even if we are going to market, we do not simply purchase an item if it is not available in variety. Generally, we try to go 10 shops, see the item, get satisfied, then choose. So naturally, now as per NHEQ framework, the education has to be relevant to market. When we are saying relevant to market, means needs of the society, needs of the corporate. So even societies, what is the need? The solution giving education will be preferred. And if there are many solutions and the students will select the best solution. So if there is no selection, no choice is available, so naturally he would first see on this website that what is the status of the choices for me. And if within the same amount, he or she is getting more choices, naturally, so the intake means access will increase, as well as the 5 pillars of NEP 2020 will also be incorporated. That you have access, equity, and quality, and affordability also. And then naturally accountability of this provider will be automatically tested when there are more access to a particular course. That means there is more demand of that. And then there will be more pressure for fast change of the content development as per the need of those new employers or corporate or any economy which needs a new. Say, for example, now what we see by the war between means Russia and Ukraine. So America has also sent F-35 to encounter the Russia. So how these courses can be made available, that the latest knowledge which is available at the moment, we do not have any such knowledge available in our university system. So the latest knowledge created anywhere in the world, if it is made available through the choices, through the basket courses, then it will help the students. Then it will also create pride and arrest our students who are going abroad. Nearly 10 lakhs of Indians are going abroad. And because of this pandemic, they are unable to attend physically. They are attending online courses. So for online courses, if they have to pay such a huge amount, why these online such quality courses can be provided in India itself? We are spending nearly $28 billion. So just imagine if we can save this much money by investing in creating infrastructure and quality course contents. So I am sure that this will bring a huge change in our pedagogy and also creating the new job opportunity for the youths.
Thank you so much, sir. Access, equity, and excellence. So well said. Is the new mantra that universities will take forward along with NEP. Now, Dr. Manoj, I had this small curiosity in my mind. When I say universities are gearing up for servicing the employed learner. Obviously, the world of organization, the industry, is actually going to benefit. Do you think there's a role for the industry to collaborate with academia to ensure that we can create high quality, affordable programs for the learners?
Answer is big yes, Shantanu, because if this collaboration is missing, we may be losing out on this particular initiative, because industry is the end consumer of those services, and if industry is not partner with academia, I think there's no sense talking about various courses, talking about employed learners, etc., etc. And when you talk about industry collaboration, I see a very live example in front of me, like team leads. So as university, I may not be able to offer 100 courses online. Similarly, university B, similarly university C, D, and E. But team leads as industry edtech partner can help us out as a horizontal player altogether. So wherever things are there, because you have a direct connect with, let us say, X number of employers. So that is a very, very important connect and integrating module altogether in the whole chain of offering. Because if this particular module is strong, because you can work as a two-way connector, like interacting with the industry also, interacting with academia also, and serving as a bridge in between. So that is where in the initial beginning also we talked about bridging the gap and all that. So that is where this particular block is very, very important. To answer your question, industry will play a big role in making it sure that their employed learners are relevant in the current context.
Thank you so much. That's so nicely said, sir. My interest of time, Arena, I'm taking last question, and this is to Professor Sharma. Professor Sharma, do you think that the government has got a role to play to help universities handle this new wave of employed learners which is going to come up? What can the government do, either as one-time support to universities or in terms of or deregulating this particular sector? What all do you expect from the government? You are mute, sir.
Governments has made policy, first of all, to give opportunity to all the universities with their own resources, as well as government is coming up with the support, financial support also to the selective universities, the universities which have the A grade, then they are given the, or A plus or like that, they are given the financial support also. The universities can also enter under MOU. And as Dr. Manoj was telling, you see, at present, we are having gap between the academia and industry. The reason is the industries are taking second grade technology, which is abroad, just you can say left out. So we take that left out in our industries. But when this thing will come, the innovation will take place. Because once this academia industries linkage is there, then the support from industries will also come. So what is told by Government of India now, CSR funding will come. So far, there is no CSR funding in educational institutions. So this will be additional funding. And this will be the research foundation also, national NRF, National Research Funding, where the big amount of funding will also be given to create the infrastructure, to develop our new modular systems, to have the collaboration. So a lot of such support will also come. But as we all know that our resources may not meet the need by our large system of higher education of India. So naturally, we have to have the collaboration, and we have to also take advantage of making joint degree program or joint such innovative program which are more useful and can create job. Because once we create such kind of the facility, the job oriented, the neighboring countries, particularly those students will come to our universities. So far, we are having very less number. So in this way, in long run, this will be very helpful.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm aware that we are running short of time now. Thank you so much, Dr. Manoj and Dr. Sharma. It's a pleasure hearing you. We missed Dr. Birbhadrappa because he was in a meeting, but it's great to hear that universities are really looking at opening a new chapter. Access, equity, and excellence is a great motivation. It's great to see that universities are looking at a new collaboration with the industry, looking at retraining, upskilling their teachers, and gearing up for a new game in higher education. Thank you so much, both of you and Professor Birbhadrappa, for joining us in this discussion today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shantanu, for hosting us. It was very nice discussion. We learned a lot. We exchanged thoughts. We learned a lot from Dr. Sharma also. It was a learning experience, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.